The letters went out to family, friends, housewives, professionals, factory workers, doctors, lawyers, educators, priests and preachers, even Facebook friends, and the only thing they had in common was Amy Taylor and/or Josh Long. It included the following. Hi, I'm Ben Taylor, husband of Amy, your daughter, sister, friend, and co-worker. I know most of you don't know me, and I thank you for your time. I have information about my loving wife and her friend, information that some of you already have and some of you suspect. I have decided to remove all doubt and share what I have. Most will not like it. Some will hate it, some will hate me, but that is the price I am willing to pay. Please see the first attachment. A picture of Amy and Josh appeared on the screen, fully clothed, yet passionately kissing. The caption read, "Foreplay." It was taken 3 months ago at her company picnic. They thought they were being discreet, but my friend was looking for his kids and saw them. He took some pictures and gave them to me, thinking I would need them. What a good friend. And I'm not kidding. I am ashamed that after that, I became the classic insecure husband. I had to find out everything, even if it killed me. And it did. I mean, it killed me. Our promises to each other and to God in front of friends and family were rejected. Rejected because of lust. I hate to think it was love. Of course, I torture myself with the question, why? Could it be because I left her alone for long periods of time while the Navy SEALs and I were running covert operations for the CIA? No, wait. I was never in the military, and the only SEALs I know are the ones sunning themselves in the harbor. Could it be because I left her alone when I went on business? That can't be. I don't go anywhere on business, and I hardly ever work overtime. I get home at 5:30 at the latest every night. Perhaps it's because I've abandoned all my hobbies, run away and left her and the kids alone, and I'm having fun myself, missing birthdays, holidays, anniversaries. No, that's out of the question. My only hobby is making her happy. She seemed to enjoy little surprise gifts and weekend getaways, and had to keep an eye on me to make sure I didn't go overboard on those occasions. And as it turned out, fortunately, we didn't have time to have kids. I wasn't hard on her mentally or physically, didn't neglect her, always made sure she knew I loved her, spent as much time with her as possible. Luckily, she had a job, or she would never have had time to be with Josh. It helped a lot that he was her boss, which made their little meetings pretty easy during the day. I was shocked when I got positive proof. It turned out to be a bit expensive, possibly illegal, but I wasn't planning on using it in court. I decided to go to the court of public opinion. Proof of what I'm saying? About their affair, of course. The following attachments are quite obscene, so don't open them if you think it will offend you. The next 2 images appeared. The first was a photo of Amy taken from a top-down angle. She was looking up lovingly. "She's really good at this," was the caption. The second was a combination of images of them having doggy-style sex. Their faces expressed lust and happiness. Underneath it was the caption, "What she didn't do for me." I'm sorry if I offended you, but I wanted to remove all doubt. Why would I show you these pictures? Because I filed for divorce using irreconcilable differences rather than adultery. That way I could avoid most of the sympathetic looks, the occasional smirks from assholes of both sexes who already knew everything, and the inevitable conversations. You know what I mean? All her friends asking if I was sure this was what I wanted, if it was a mistake, that it was okay to see a counselor, that she was sorry, that it would never happen again, that we should try to forget the whole thing. Her mom, who I loved as much as my own, will not try to make me back down, or her dad, who I respect, but never really loved, will try to reason with me. I apologize to all of you for being caught up in this story. My firmest wish is that you leave me alone. This is strictly between me and my wife. Well, not exactly. I didn't take Josh into account. I owe an apology to his wife, Sunny. You didn't have to face that, or to your 2 children. What are they now, 8 and 5? Maybe he'll change. Maybe you can forgive him. It's your choice. And I apologize to his company and its senior management for dragging them into the upcoming lawsuit. After all of their meetings took place in their office. I think the supply people now know the reason they put a couch in his office. Just a tip. If you give the couch to someone else, make sure it is thoroughly cleaned first. I know I can't use pictures, but all my attorney has to do is take statements from their co-workers. I seriously doubt they would take responsibility for the company. All in all, and a lot of people are going to lead pretty miserable lives for a while. So, to wrap up, here's why I did it all this way. To remove all doubts and not to waste time. After all, every photo will tell you everything, won't it? Amy's getting served with divorce papers. That should be happening any minute now. I'll try to build a new life without her. Amy, I'm sorry I wasn't enough for you. If you had come to me in the beginning, told me you had feelings for someone else and left, it would have devastated me. But I would have respected your decision. Instead, you were a classic cake eater, wanting to keep the cake intact while continuing to eat it. Well, the cake is gone, Amy, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have a pretty severe case of indigestion. Or maybe not. Maybe you're even glad I found out about it so you and your lover can run off into the sunset. As you wish. It's over between us. I moved out of the house, took what I wanted. Everything else is yours. All contact will be through my lawyer, and I am determined never to speak to you again. I don't want explanations. I don't want to know why. I don't want to hear talk of second chances because they won't even be considered. Go ahead, Amy. Leave me alone. The entire office heard Amy scream before she slid off her chair in a deep faint. Colleagues rushed to her aid. Unfortunately, she fainted at the sight of Josh's picture stabbed into her from behind. Soon the buzz started after one of the administrators discovered the email and opened it. Work practically came to a standstill. Josh didn't know what was going on and was surprised to see the HR director standing in the doorway. Is it true? He asked without any preamble. Is what true? Josh asked, not knowing what he was talking about. The director walked in, slamming the door behind him. Is it true that you and Amy are having an affair? Here? In the office? Josh turned pale. The director thought he was about to faint. That pretty much confirmed it. Too bad, he'd always liked Josh. You're an idiot! Do you have any idea how much damage the two of you have done? Most of our biggest clients are religious charities. How do you think they'd feel if they found out that two of our senior employees were committing lewd acts on company property during business hours? He paused, breathing heavily before continuing. I've just come from a meeting with senior management. The CEO called, demanding confirmation. He's already gotten calls from the Archbishop, the president of a Baptist charity, and Rabbi Friedman. Things weren't going so well. He was quiet again, looking at Josh. I want you out of here in 15 minutes. You're suspended pending an investigation. No, wait half an hour. Amy's being escorted out of here as we speak. And from what I gather you haven't seen yet, go to your email and look at what came from her husband. He turned without another word and slammed the door again on his way out. His fingers trembled as he pressed the button. When he got to the picture of him plunged into her ass, he felt physically sick and threw up in the trash can. It was all supposed to be fun and disposable so no one would know anything. But they both enjoyed it so much that they carried on, promising each other that their spouses would never find out. Sonny must be desperate, he thought. And then it hit him. Oh my God, Sonny! He shrieked loudly before dialing her number. He was surprised when she answered. Maybe she hadn't seen it yet. She seemed calm. Is it true? She asked in a cold, impassive voice. Is what true, sweetheart? Josh, you only have one chance to tell me the truth. One. If you deny it, and I catch you in a lie, our conversations will be handled by lawyers. Is that the truth? He felt the walls closing in. He really loved her, and he also knew he had no choice. I'm so sorry, honey. Yes, you are, but... She cut him short. I'm packing 2 suitcases for you, your favorite things. They'll be in the garage. Please come and get them while I pick up the kids from school. I'd go myself, but at least one of us has to be the responsible adult here. After all, there are kids involved. Until I decide what I'm going to do, I'll tell them you had to leave on business. Understand one thing. If I decide not to try to save everything, you'll be the one to tell them why Dad doesn't live here anymore. They won't understand it now, but they will in a few years. I hope it doesn't drive them away from you. I'm leaving. Don't try to contact me. If I decide to, I'll call you myself. There was silence for a few seconds. Then there was a scream. Damn you! She shrieked, hanging up the phone. He stared at the phone like a snake before he dropped it. The phone immediately rang. He glanced at the name. Amy. Hello? He said hesitantly. For a minute, all he heard was crying and sniffling. Then she spoke in a voice so quiet he almost didn't recognize her. Josh, what are we going to do? He's my life. We were going to try for a baby next year. I can't lose him. I can't. For the 20th time that day, he felt a terrible sadness. What have they done? I feel the same way about Sonny. But honestly, Amy, I don't see a happy ending for either of us. If we loved each other, we could accept our freedom and be together. But even though we liked each other, we didn't want to be together. You know our job is over, if not now, then soon. Sonny kicked me out, and I don't know if we'll ever be together again. I'm really sorry about Ben. Do you think if I talk to him, tell him there was no love, that we didn't mean it, would that help? I'm willing to do that. No. I think the best thing you can do right now is stay as far away from us as possible. Every time he looks at you, he'll remember what we did. He's never been violent, but he's never been hurt like this. I'll talk to you later if you think it's a good idea. He's thought it over carefully. No, I don't think it's a good idea. All they need to do is find out we're communicating, and that would undermine everything we're trying to rebuild. I'm sorry it's come to this, Amy. You know I never meant to hurt you. I feel the same way. I hope things work out with Sunny. I know how much you love her. I can't believe we were ever that stupid. Goodbye, Josh, and good luck. I think we're both going to need it. Amy went home. She knew he wouldn't be there, but she hoped against all odds. Same house, same furniture, same pictures on the walls, but it seemed bare and empty, and she knew why. A quick inspection of the closets revealed that all of his belongings were gone. She looked further, entering his shed and workshop. They had been cleaned out, all the tools taken away. She wondered when he'd had time, but then remembered she'd never gone into them. Everything could have been missing for weeks, and she would never have known. She looked for a note, some message, but found nothing. She sat down at the kitchen table, her usual spot, and looked sadly at his empty chair. She put her head down on the table, and for the first time that day, but not the last, she cried. True to his word, Ben never spoke to her again. He refused to negotiate. He refused to go to the court-ordered counseling sessions, showing up at the jail instead of their meeting at the office to serve his contempt charge. The confused police officers took his statement that he was ready to go to jail and sent him home since no arrest warrant had been issued. The judge was dubious about this and still put him in jail the following weekend, releasing him on Sunday night so he could go to work. He spent 3 weekends in jail before Amy finally conceded defeat and canceled the counseling sessions. The divorce took almost a year to finalize. Amy still hoped he would come back to her, but when her mother saw the announcement of his upcoming wedding, she gave up. On his wedding day, she got drunk. For the first time in 2 years. Time may not heal all wounds, but it makes the pain more bearable. Finally, she started dating again. She had 2 serious relationships that ended twice, barely telling her about her past, before she finally met a man who loved her enough to consider her past the past and focus on the future. She married him, and they were happy. She was very careful in her relationships with other men, especially where she worked. She was called a nun because she never went to social parties and hardly ever talked to men except for work-related topics. The only thing that marred her happiness was a chance encounter with Ben 2 years after her wedding. He had left town after receiving a classified settlement from her former company to keep the case out of court. He was back in town to celebrate the 25th wedding anniversary of his sister and her husband. She saw him by chance, sitting on a park bench. At first, she wasn't sure it was him. He was thinner than she remembered, and there was gray in his hair. She stopped at a stoplight and decided she wanted to talk to him, hoping to finally apologize for her actions. But changed her mind when a tall woman with fiery red hair approached with a boy about 2 years old and a little girl about 6 or 7 years old. The girl had red curls like her mother's, and the boy had dark curls. The girl jumped into his lap, and the woman took the younger one in her arms. He rose, holding the girl in his arms, kissed the woman, and left. Amy was surprised to feel the tears, but then realized she had glimpsed a future that was supposed to be hers. She wiped the tears away and went home to make her husband his favorite dinner. Josh and Sunny managed to reconcile after 15 months apart. She made him go through counseling, one-on-one and together, and sign a pretty tough prenup. He apologized so much that she finally lost her patience and told him that if he apologized one more time, she would leave for good. He became a different person. He rarely went anywhere without her or his children. He worked hard. His new job didn't pay as well as his old one, but he got raises and bonuses for his hard work. It took him 6 years to get back on track. Sunny had to take a job to make ends meet, and when they reunited, she refused to leave it. It broke his heart when sometimes she went out for drinks after work or went to quarterly work seminars. She never did anything even remotely indecent, but her stubborn refusal to talk about it bothered him greatly, and she secretly took great satisfaction in it. Their life was far from what it used to be, but they were working to build a better life for themselves and their children. One day it occurred to Josh. They had sex with Amy about 12 times, averaging 30 to 45 minutes. Using the highest figure, it worked out to be about 9 hours, balanced by years of suffering for his family and the destruction of Amy's marriage. Was it worth it? Hell no!